everyone, Joshua Hanlon here, and today I'm at the Bricks and Minifigs store in Crest Hill, Illinois, and I'm with Ryan.
How's it going, everybody?
He's going to be taking us on a whole tour of the store here, and we're going to be taking a look at some of the incredible products you have for sale and just some of the awesome stuff you have on display. So before we launch on in, how long has this store been here?
So we've been here for 4.5 years, going on 5. We are currently the second largest Lego store in the Midwest, which is kind of a nice little tip we can tell people about. But the biggest thing is that we have a lot of space here, so we can carry all sizes of products, from new, used, old, pre-built sets, whatever you want. Even to the point where one time we had 5 Death Stars on display. It's one of the things that we kind of love about the store and the space that we have here, because you just really don't know what's going to be here. And it's one of those things where it's like you kind of have to get it now, because then before you know it, it's going to be gone. So product likes to move pretty quickly in here, especially with Star Wars. So
we can start behind the counter here where John is showing right now. You've got kind of a variety of products back there.
Yeah, so right now we do have, as you can see on the left-hand side there, we have one of the new in-box Star Wars Chrome Stormtrooper magnets over there, as well as the now retired tan base plates, which have skyrocketed in price now. But then right next to that, we actually have our socks from Tim and Zach from Season 2 of Lego Masters. They designed those, and that's one of the things that we have an awesome agreement with Lego Masters for certain contestants, is to carry some of their awesome product here in the store. We also have some keychains up there, some awesome poly bags. We also, of course, carry brick arms and brick forge accessories and weapons, light kits and that such. And then we also have a couple of boxes and things of the video and Muppet series on top. We also, for a very limited time, had Video Series 2 figs here as well, which I've been asked about numerous times while we were at Brick World just yesterday. So
there's the plate.
Oh, there you go. That's what we have left. We got 4 left. We were able to get those in as part of an agreement with corporate. We were able to pick up a couple boxes of those too. So, of course, those were not widely available here in the U.S., so I've just been trying to hunt them down everywhere.
Speaking of minifigs, here's a tremendous amount of Star Wars minifigures.
Yeah, we do have Star Wars figs in here. Actually, as of a couple weeks ago, we also have some Clone Army Customs figs in there as well. They're one of our approved vendors. But we've got a ton of Army builders in here, Stormtroopers, Snow Troopers. We used to have a bunch of Clone Troopers, but of course with the shows becoming more popular and stuff now, Clone Troopers kind of flew out of here. We also have our lovely helmet rack, which is kind of like the place you don't want to be when you're a minifig. Because what happened is we have a bunch of other figs that we couldn't finish up, and all we had left was their helmets. So it's a nice way if you had someone step on like a Cody helmet or a Fox helmet, you can come back in and pick another one up at less than Bricklink prices, as well as, just if you wanted to just maybe not spend $200 on like a new Captain Rex, maybe you just want to pick up the helmet and like throw it on a regular clone, you could do that too. And we've had a lot of, especially younger kids, find it as a more reasonable option, because they can just paint the torsos, which I don't definitely recommend.
No, that's perfect. Before we continue on with more minifigures, I want to make sure we show this section over here. So first of some of the box sets, but a lot of these have been repackaged here, right?
Yes, so this is our certified wall. This has ranged anywhere from as low as like 30 sets, but I think the most we've ever had here was 247 sets that were certified. What certified means is that they're 100% complete with all instructions, all parts. The decals are applied correctly. I'm actually a really big stickler for decals. So if they're kind of wrong, I will actually replace the decals and apply them back on there myself, or just leave it as a new sticker sheet. We also do have some items up here, especially like the Andy Warhol set and the Camp Nou Barcelona set that actually came to us open, but all the bags are sealed. So it's still like having a brand new set, but you still get to save that extra 30, 40, 50 bucks because it's been opened once before. So it's definitely something that is a big stickler for us at Bricks and Minifigs here that kind of separates us from everyone else, is that that's something that we do, and everything that we have boxed up, it's 100% complete, and we back that as well. So if any parts are missing, we'll definitely replace it for you for free.
And of course, you've got the iconic ball figs and the Build-A-Minifig section over here.
Absolutely, yes. And if you guys are familiar with Bricks and Minifig stores, I know you guys have actually been to a few yourselves. The Bricks Minifigs and our sets here span all 64 years of the plastic Lego. I wanted to clarify because Lego's been around for a lot longer than that.
You're not going to find the wooden duck in here?
We have had some wooden bricks in here before, like loose bricks.
Yeah.
But we have a buddy who actually has told us anything wood comes in, we need to call him first. And he instantly picked them up and they were gone. He actually was at Brick World with us and told us he just picked up the Lego cat.
Whoa.
For a unannounced amount of money. That was pretty much mint, and it was very well looking. I was like, I don't even want to know. But yeah, we carry all sorts of figs from all 64 years. We have new stuff in there. We actually, at one point, recently had 45 Deadpool heads in here. So you can make Deadpool in any kind of way you wanted to. We had people put sombreros on them and like, you know, some little maracas and stuff. We had people with swords.
He's the perfect character to do that.
To do anything with, right? We even had someone actually take one of the little corn cob guy outfits and put them like in one of those things with little skies and like put them in a set. So I mean, like you said, Deadpool could be pretty much anything he wants to be because he's Deadpool. So yeah, so we have all those things here. We also have our amazing display here that we actually change about every 4 to 5 weeks. So every time our clientele come in, especially the repeat, you come in here and it's always something different. We purposely make this not quote unquote like Brick World mock quality so that the kids have an idea of like, hey, I can do this at home too, even if they're only like 6 years old. We wanted it to be something realistic. Plus, if we're changing this every 4 weeks, we don't want to spend 3 months trying to put it together. And then inside of this display, we also do a scavenger hunt every single month as well. So the families have a chance to kind of what's the word for it? Group together and have that family bonding experience. That's what I was saying. The family bonding experience to do this because we always throw some like 80s, 90s references that are in here that the kids don't understand, but we do put in a lot of those like new millennial cartoon things in here too where the kids are like, I don't know what that is. So they do have to work together a lot of times. We do give some of the younger kids some hints, but we do also give away prizes for these as well. So if you come in and you complete the scavenger hunt, you can turn those in, and then we actually do raffles. Our top winner, I think, in the history we've been open was a $250 set.
Very nice.
So, and we base that off of how many people come in and do it. So the more people that tell them about it and come in to actually complete the scavenger hunt, the bigger the prize gets.
I love to see custom stuff on display at the Bricks and Minifig stores like this.
Yeah, so some of these are actual sets that are either mine or Dave's. There's actually a Sanctorum set that's custom right in front there in front of John. That was a designer from Indiana, funny enough, but had never built it in person. So our supervisor, David here, was able to do it and actually sent him the pictures of it. And he's like, dude, this actually looks better in person. So there are some custom things in there. And of course, then everything else pretty much in the rest of the center display is all custom built here, of course, except for the little GWP boat that's kind of cruising through the pond there. But it's always fun to take sets and kind of mix it with some of your own custom things and do different stuff to it. And that's kind of where Lego starts is they always give you a kit, but they don't expect you to keep it that way. They always want you to change it. But then, of course, as a parent myself, it's like, no, don't change it, don't change it, don't change it. And I mean, that's what Lego's for, is to rip it apart and turn it into something bigger and better,
And speaking of custom builds, you need the pieces for that. And this is another iconic part of the Bricks and Minifig stores here is the large bulk tables.
Yes, so in our store here, as John's filming by here, we have 7 bulk tables here. These are actually usually more full than this. But of course, we just got back from Brick World, so we have a lot of the passerbys that are visiting for the week or the lugs that are trying to get a lot more parts. So we have emptied out a little bit more, so of course we're back now. We're going to clean some more brick and sanitize it, get it back onto the floor. But we do have a special table on the end too as well for Duplo for the younger kids that are looking for those loose bricks. So they can kind of fill it up with anything from regular Lego, Duplo, and we did also have Bionicle parts as well at the same price, which I know sometimes Bionicle parts are usually more expensive, but it's like, it's bulk. We want you to have it. So a lot of that actually got used for many of the models at Brick World too. They came in and took a bunch of sets, a bunch of bulk, and now they're awesome displays that we're probably going to be in a video we're going to see from you guys as well.
Yes, very well. It's
so
the whole
it's really,
circle there.
Yes, it's a circle of life. And then eventually they'll come back and be like, hey, I have these parts. You want them back? And I'm like, yeah, we'll buy them back. So it's one of the cool things, though, is even contestants from Lego Masters, for instance, like Bark and Boone, met at tables at our stores. So you really don't know who you're going to run into while you're just kind of looking for those bricks, those base plates, those cheese wedges, or even the tiles, because who doesn't love 2x2 tiles, especially for your cities. You're always looking for great tiles somewhere. We always have people that are bonding over things and helping each other out find those loose parts. And then we do, on occasion, get color sorted pieces as well, which we usually keep in the back. So if people come in and say, hey, do you have any lime green parts? Like, funny enough, we do. Let me go grab you that tub. And our staff will bring it out to you and let you go through all of it. So it's one of those great things that we do here at Bricks and Minifigs where you really could find pretty much anything.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. You've also got a great variety of stuff on this wall, but I wanted to focus in on these unique cases over here. So you got kind of red and blue. Tell us a little bit more about these.
Yeah, so these all actually came in with a large lot of Bionicle figures that we got in about 2 months ago. All of these cases range from 1981 to 1986, so they're all vintage cases. And as John's going here, so some of them have flip latches as well, and as you can see, they're all really great condition sets. They're not bent, they're not broken. Some of them have slide locks, flip latches, and everything else. And of course, this was meant for you to carry around all of your bulk Lego so you can get creative with and play with it. Or if you were one of those minifig collectors and had all those minifig parts, you can get one of those smaller kits like that blue one right there and put all your minifig heads and little accessories and stuff together. So maybe you have to build minifigs on the run, or maybe you're at Brick World or another convention around the country too, and you're like, dude, it's like I just need one of those extra heads, and you can always find it in your parts. Of course, the downside was many of these cases did not have dividers at the time, except I believe this one right here may have a 4-slot divider on the top for your minifig parts. So it's minifig parts on top and then all the rest of the bulk on the bottom.
But for the most part, it was just chucking everything in a box.
Chuck it in a box and carry it with you, yep. And then of course, aside from those, we do have some of the newer, more modern Friends tubs and totes from some of the dividers. We have some old play mats as well, so you actually take these off. You store all your brick inside, but then it unzips on the sides and opens up to a city play mat. And then of course up top we have all of our newer storage heads as well. So again, everything from 64 years, whether it's 1980, 1962, or 2005, like you'll find everything here.
Yeah, you got your own custom kind of parts packs as well.
Yeah, so these actually we made pre-Brick World here because we wanted to make sure that everybody had those extra foliage plants and everything else to help finish it up. Brick World 2018 is when we got the idea for it, because I was up there and actually the grass elements right here had just discontinued. If you guys remember that, and they went to the little handheld ones. Yeah. And there was a huge rush at the Lego store. I think some of the lugs were there and actually got into a fight at the store. But funny enough, I think I had about 3,000 of those elements still had their store. So I came back down, grabbed the whole bags full of them up there and just gave them to people. I was like, dude, it's like, here, just finish up your sets. So ever since then, it's like, you never know if people want swamps, if they want flowers, if they want grass, maybe a palm tree. So we just made sets for everything so we could bring it up and help people out. So that's kind of where the idea came from for those.
Perfect. Let's move back over to this section. You mentioned Bionicle earlier, and I see you've got some nice displays of it here. So
yes, we do.
How much of that do you typically keep in stock?
So Bionicle is kind of like a roller coaster. We usually either have a lot and it sits for a little while, or we don't because it all sold. We do have some people that are die-hard Bionicle fans, and as we said, we had taken a lot of a few hundred minifigs. We actually had a gentleman that had come in and spent $1,700 on just Bionicle figs.
Well, there you go. That's a purchase for you.
And that was at a 50% discount. 50, like 50%.
Wow.
We blew them all out. We wanted everybody to have some fun with them. And I think Bionicle is really underrated because many people don't realize that Bionicle actually saved Lego from bankruptcy back in 2001. It was one of the few times that Lego was having some issues and Bionicle had saved them. And actually Bionicle then got better and better. As time went on, their weapons became better, their storylines became better, and of course, then they lasted another 15 years. So Bionicle is just one of those great, unique things. The only turnoff that a lot of people have is it's not the traditional stud and
right,
kind of system build.
Right.
It's ball and joint and everything else. But then people don't realize that a lot of that, funny enough, actually turned into Galador. Which we actually have here too, which we'll show later.
Absolute classic.
Yes, absolutely, the GOAT of Lego. But then a lot of these ball joints and stuff that were used in Galador are actually used in many of the constructions today, and people just don't realize it. So when you have those ball joints, those 1x2 bricks with the little ball joint on the end, it came from Bionicle. And of course, Bionicle started off as a Technic set. So it's like Technic turned into Bionicle turned kind of back into system, and then, so that, like I said, the whole system keeps on rotating around and everything still melds together. So, yeah. I mean, that's Lego for you.
And then behind that here is a fantastic collection of a lot of historical sets, it looks like. Oh, this is almost like a little museum layout here.
It is and it's not, because it's absolutely for sale. Yeah. On the left-hand side here, we actually have the one of the series of
Harry Potter?
Yes, the Harry Potter sets. We have the Hogwarts set up top and the Chamber of Secrets underneath. Those two sets we actually sell as a set as well, so people want them, we get them a discount, because the two sets actually meld together and the Hogwarts actually sits on top. Okay. So the two go together, and of course has the ultimate basilisk there with the glow-in-the-dark dagger teeth. which only comes in that set. And if you guys don't know, those daggers are like $65 a piece. So you basically buy the daggers, get the rest of the set for free. But then below it, of course, we have the traditional Forestman sets and some of the castles. We've got some pirates. We got Jackstone pirates, which is kind of insane. It's one of those things that I haven't had before. And then towards the top here, we actually have a lot of sets that we just got in while we were at Brick World. And we actually purchased some of those while we were at Brick World too, so now we're gonna have more of them. And we have some more traditional old style system underwater sets that were post Aquanauts. I was a big fan of the Aquanauts and the Aqua Sharks. I don't remember the exact name of that line, but it came a little bit afterwards. And then we have the vintage cargo sets there, police sets, fireman sets. We even have an old 4.5-volt train, which nobody ever sees anymore.
Next to the train is one of the, was it the Time Travelers? What was that?
Time Cruisers.
Time Cruisers,
yes.
That's what it was. I couldn't remember.
It was a very unique line that was only available 1 year, I believe. And I want to say it was like 1996. And they had about 9 different sets, and I just thought it was interesting because they grabbed parts from all of the other system sets and just said, we're just going to cram this together and make it into something. And I always thought that was really cool and kind of like the epitome of Lego, where any mock builder stuff was like, well, what if I want to have this pirate ship, but I want it to go underwater and I want it to fly? Like, how do you do that? And it's like, you just put pieces on it, and then at that point, then you just start changing colors out and figuring out a color scheme for it, and then it becomes an awesome mock.
Do you try to maintain a balance in the store between the newer sets and some of these like older, 30, 40 plus year old sets?
No, we don't really push for necessarily a balance. It's kind of whatever comes in. However, we love the old, I'm a big fan of the 90s sets.
Yeah.
I think that the 90s sets kind of just gave you enough that you have to still use your imagination to see the rest of it, but you can still kind of tell what it was just by itself. Where I think a lot of the newer sets, it's like, yeah, this is a car, you can clearly tell it's a car and this and this. But there's not that just like raw creativity element to it anymore. So I'm a big fan of the 90s sets, but then I have nothing wrong with later 2000 sets or anything else like that. The new parts that they've come out with, especially the last few years, I want to say it was like over 400 new elements in the last 2 or 3 years now, as people have been going through and seeing it all. Lego's just been really pushing the boundaries of different things, and I kind of want them to go back to the old 90s sets and try to use the new parts to redesign them to try to see how that would look. And I just think that would be amazing to try to get some more of the slopes and everything else on the older style cars. And that's the thing too, is cars have changed so much over the years, even since the 60s and 70s. All the cars used to be 4 wide, 1-seater cars. Then they became 6 wide, 1-seater cars. And then sometimes you got a 2-seater car. And then of course, Speed Champions came out with the 6 wides, still again, 1 seat. It's like, but these cars have 2 or 4 seats. So I was really excited that they went 8 wide now, but then you have problems with the old style base plates and the road plates not fitting. So it's one of those things that I wish they would find a good balance for, where they had the size and everything else for it. But it's hard to build to true minifig scale. Because even if you assume that a minifig was, let's say, 6 feet tall, so it's then divided that by the 4 bricks high, it's a brick and or 1.5 feet per brick. Then if you use that scale, nothing that Lego makes is the right scale. Not even a door, because according to that, your doors would all be at least 10 or 12 feet high.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, most doors are about 8 feet tall. But that also means that most people are 3.5 or 4 feet wide, and that's also not true.
Hey, there's limits. It's,
right.
It's a system, but it only goes so far.
It goes so far, right? So it's definitely one of those things where as you're working with Lego and you're like, man, I really want to take this like real building and make it minifig scale. It won't work. You have to make some kind of adjustments here or there, and it's all the interpretation of those buildings. You'll never get exact unless it's just brick and then not minifigs. If you do it in brick, you're fine. Once minifigs get involved, it kind of throws things off a little bit.
So John has been showing some of the friend stuff, some of these pieces you can get here, but I wanted to ask you specifically about this display here and kind of how you're working with the Lego Masters. Yeah,
so we started working with Jessica Ragsey from season 1 of Lego Masters a few years ago, actually pre-COVID, as a nice little item to bring into the store that was not necessarily Lego, but Lego related. And of course, a lot of our Lego fans out there love watching the show, us included. And we reached out to Jessica and made a deal with her for some of these bows to bring them in stock and keep them as one of our first items here. We were a test store for the company, And things went very well. We started selling a lot of them, and actually we have some customers that bought 6 of them because they wanted every color and every different word, a different thing. And then as John had already shown, we have some figs here as well with Star Wars figs on them and these lovely paint colors here. And that was something she did afterwards. We actually helped supply her with about 250 of the Star Wars figs for that, which unfortunately for the rest of our clientele, we're like, where did all the Star Wars figs go? And I was like, well, Jessica Ragsley has them right now, and we'll have them back. So she turned them all into some bows and bow ties, and they look great. And then that kind of started our relationship with many of the other LEGO Masters contestants as well, including Tim and Zach and Corey from season 1 as well. And we've actually been doing some little secret projects with Corey on the side too, which I can't divulge right now, but they will be available later, I can tell you that.
Very exciting. No, that's great. So we can keep looking at the glass cases here. Here's kind of an accessories and animal case.
Yeah, so we have our little food menu here. We've got, of course, our traditional animals, which we have 1 cow in there. Of course, everybody's always looking for the goats now. I don't have any goats right now, but it's something that we're always trying to get. We did have a lot of sheep before, which actually were in our display. But then we have, of course, some old school piece separators in here, even from the early 90s and stuff before we had the new modern ones, which some people, believe it or not, don't know what piece separators are sometimes. They'll come in and be like, what is this piece? What is this piece? I'm like, dude, this is the best thing ever made. So we do also have some of our saddles and stuff in here as well, because saddles actually got pretty expensive since then. You know, Castle and everything else kind of went away, which we need to bring Castle back, right? But yeah, so it's a Whole Foods saddle, kind of miscellaneous item menu that we have here. And of course, the top, we also have some Duplo animals too, because the kids are always looking for those cute little Duplo animals to throw in. And some of the Duplo animals have never made in Lego scales, so then it's kind of one of those things you kind of have to play with. And of course, on the bottom, we have some of our dinosaurs, our Triceratops and Tyrannosaurus Rexes, Dilophosaurus, and everything else from the old dinosaur sets, and of course, the new Jurassic World and dino sets. And then, of course, the bottom right one is more of our friends' animals, because they want some of the more realistic looking ones. And then, of course, then to the right of there, we have our $5 and $10 case, is what we call it. So all of the top 2 rows here are only $5 little mini sets. A lot of the parents like to use them for like quick little gifts, like, oh, my son was good today, I'm gonna go buy him something. It's like perfect, something little, a nice little small thing comes with a minifig. And of course, a lot of minifigs now are $4, $5, $6. You can get it with a whole little boat for $5. You know, it's a cute little thing to do. And then we have some of our bigger sets on the bottom as well, which is why we charge a little more for them for the $10 range. So these kind of fly in and out here all the time. And then sometimes we also put these on sale too. We'll just do like, hey, everything in the case is $2. And then people will just come in and just take everything out and we'll fill it up with new ones. So yeah.
Perfect. Now we get over to some more variety over here. So you've got kind of a more eclectic mix over here.
Yeah, so we used to use these for Classic Space, funny enough, because we had a large Classic Space collection come in. But then we had a gentleman come in and pick up about 2/3 of everything that we had. So then they were empty.
Those
so
classic
like, okay,
space fans.
Right? So as John's showing right here, that's actually the old Expert Creator line there with the Grand Emporium, the Town Hall, Parisian, and of course, the original Market Street, which is the modular, and the Cafe Corner on the end. So that was a set that we put together. We've got a couple of our architecture sets in here, some Chima, and of course, some of the new creator sets as well. And then to the right, we had our large vehicle lot originally, which then got filled up with other things as stuff rotated through. So we have our UCS tumbler there on the bottom. We've got Dom's Dodge Charger in there. We've got the new Ducati. So we're just kind of rotating around. And then on the far right side, we still have some of our older vintage classic Series 1 and Series 2 Blacktron, including this guy down here, this black and standard yellow set. Actually, we have with the original box as well. And it's a really rare set where almost every single tile and printed piece that's on that set is unique to that set. So that's one of the reasons why that set's actually pretty expensive, is even those little tiles in the back are $40 a piece.
Wow, okay.
So yeah, we ask, but we tell people, it's like, that's why. Myself growing up, I was a huge fan and a proponent of the M-Tron Blacktron series. Yeah. Especially Blacktron Series 2. I wasn't a big fan of like the black and yellow, but I was more of like when the neon green kind of came into it. And I always loved having the little fights and stuff with each other. I was like, well, who's the good guys? Who's the bad guys? And I was like, I always kind of pretended that M-Tron was the good guys, Blacktron was the bad guys, just because of the red versus black. Like the red kind of just went with the hero, which of course is beyond the brick color. We've got to show the red and black, right? And then, so Blacktron was kind of the bad guys, and grew up with those. where my brother was a little bit older than me, and so he and my godbrother actually had the classic space sets with the old classic lots and the little ships and
Moon base
bases and stuff
plates,
everywhere.
yeah,
Yep,
exactly.
everywhere. So they actually we actually used to take over my godfather's ping pong table, and it was just constant classic space everywhere.
It's a classic Lego experience,
Yes.
whether it's like pirate battles, space battles,
Doesn't
whatever
matter.
it is. Yeah,
you need
just laying
space,
it
you
all
find out where it goes, and it's like, this is a nice 4 by 8 foot area. If we take the net out in the middle, done. And we thought, of course, we'll just do it for like a day or two. It was like that for 7 years. Just kind of rotated around.
Over here, we've got some great examples of the minifigure kind of bases that you see at a lot of the Bricks and Minifig stores. I always love seeing these, and they look so fantastic to display minifigures on.
Yeah, so these are actually custom base plates made by a husband and wife. It's a very small company, just like ours. With Bricks and Minifigs, we are a franchise, so we actually have 60 stores currently, but every store is individually owned and operated. So then every single store is going to have its own inventory, its own kind of community and everything else in the area and culture. But it's one of those things that everybody loves is helping out other small businesses, and we always, of course, as a small business ourselves, like helping small businesses. So we went ahead and partaked in these awesome minifig stands, and we have 4 different styles. 3 of them are here on display. The other one we're sold out of right now. But we have this awesome gear display that's on top, which holds 18 or 20 minifigs, I believe it was.
There you go, fully functional.
Yeah, fully functional. They actually a lot of people like to come in here and set these up and let me see how that works together, and they'll all play with it and they all spin. The only downside is I wish they had a crank, so you could just kind of twist it around and have some fun. We have actually had some people tell us that they mount these to a wall, and then we'll actually put the minifigs on the back half of the legs.
Oh, right,
on here.
right.
And then they could crank it around, and the top figs will rotate around.
Okay, yeah.
I was like, that's different.
It's like Batman suits.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Just like the newer Batcave had the little thing. And then of course these smaller sets here, these smaller, more they call them kidney bean shaped ones, are perfect for a lot of the series minifigs. Of course, right now they're doing a series of 12. These stands hold 16, so you can always have the set of 12 and then maybe a duplicate or maybe a custom version of one that you want on there. And then the 3-tier stands in the bottom hold 30 figs.
Oh, wow.
So that's more of a fan of, like, maybe you want to collect all the Iron Man suits or something like that. That would be something that you would want, because then you can kind of stack them up and put them around everywhere with their accessories too. It gives plenty of space for it.
And then in addition to that, you've got a whole bunch of sealed sets. So is this more of the more recent stuff here?
Yeah, so our lime green wall is where we keep all of our new arrival sets, our new releases that we get in through Lego, actually. So we get these day one release for the most part. Every once in a while, Lego now is doing little exclusives with themselves, so they may hold the set for like a month before we can get it. So other than that, we have them all here, and it's kind of cool to have a nice local store, so they don't have to drive too far.
Right.
We are an area where we have 10 different Lego stores within an hour and a half of here. So it's kind of nice to save, especially right now on gas money, because gas prices are going up. And so they can come here, spend 5 or 10 minutes to drive here to the store instead of going like 45 minutes to another Lego store or somewhere else, and get the same product for pretty much the same price, and know that we'll have it. The other thing is that we can actually pre-order some sets as well. So for instance, like the 501st sets came back out in January. We actually had a lot of people telling us that they wanted 30 boxes of them or 40 boxes of them, and they were 100% serious. They weren't kidding around. So we were able to order a couple hundred of them and have them here ready to go. Most of them were already kind of dedicated to those people as well, so they knew that we were going to have them. They didn't have to fight in the line over at the traditional stores and the locations for it. So it's a great thing that we can offer to our customers, especially repeat customers that kind of know how it works. Plus, many people in the area still don't know about us yet, even though we've been here for 4.5 years. People are just oblivious sometimes. But one of the best things is that even if you go to the Lego stores and they sell out of those sets, kind of like this with this weekend, we still had the Naboo Starfighters and the new Republic battle tanks and stuff as well. And so people are like, oh my gosh, they actually have them, and they're at a good price. I was like, yes, that's what we're here for, is to to help all the rest of the Lego fans out there find exactly what they're looking for.
Perfect. We'll go across the aisle then to some more glass cases over here. Starting at the end, you've got the Mario representation going on.
Yes, we love the Super Mario sets. It's such a fun game. Once they actually came out with, we picked one up and opened one up here for the store, and we were kind of playing with it, seeing how it worked, because of course, we want to try to sell as many of them as we can. That's kind of every retailer's goal. But we want to know how it worked, how it functioned, how accurate it was. Is it going to be something that's going to break and kind of fall apart? and they actually did Mario very, very, very well, and we loved having the fact that Luigi's out now as well, and then Princess Peach is on her way. So we're really excited about those. We're also going to be doing a Super Mario event here as well. We've been planning for over COVID as well, where we're going to allow everybody to come in and actually design their course together. And then we're going to do the top 3 winners of like the top 3 runs that make it through. We're going to get Lego prizes as well from us. So it's going to be really fun. We're really excited about it.
And it's time to forget everything else we've talked to up to this point, because I just spotted the shelf of Galador over there behind the shelf. So really, we've reached the peak, and there's nowhere else to go from here.
Yeah, so that is the our lovely Galador collection. I want to say, and my supervisor might correct me, it's all but 4 of the entire collection for Galador. It is missing the ship and a few of the figures. But otherwise, all came in together as one lot.
Okay.
And it's so fun to look at it and play with it. And the ball joints are really interesting because the joints that actually hold their arms and legs on are currently used in a lot of the T-Rex dinosaurs for the ratcheting arms and legs. And that's where it came from, was from these. So when people are like, oh yeah, it's like Galador, you know, boo. And it's like, you wouldn't have these dinosaurs if you didn't have Galador. Even though a lot of people don't contribute to it, but Galador did actually make a difference in Lego. It's still kind of creepy because it's very Barbie Ken doll looking, and a lot of people don't think it's Lego, but it actually is 100% Lego, and came out in conjunction with the second year of Bionicle as well in 2002. So.
You've also
Things
got
happen.
the Monkey Kid set up here, which is an interesting theme. I know kind of mixed thoughts in the AFOL community on the Monkey Kid theme. How does that sell, and what are the reception in the store?
So Monkey Kid is a very interesting, as you said, a very interesting conversation to have. A lot of people who are not familiar with Monkey Kid and the legend, we actually have one customer named John, I'm not going to tell you his last name, is actually very, very into the Monkey Kid line. He actually knows the entire lore of like all the books and everything else from when he was a little kid. And so he kind of filled us in on some of it. I personally find it a little strange as far as the line goes, and some of the figs are a little bit different, but of course we had Lego Timo before too, so it kind of blends into that whole like human animal aspect of minifigs. But the sets are beautiful. Like every Monkey Kid set I've seen, there's tons of colors, some really creative builds in there. So I mean, overall, I mean, I love the waterfall that's on this one. Plus the 2 sides actually kind of come apart, so there's a lot of extra playability in there as well. So you can kind of have that more mystical Asian feel to it. So I mean, I like it, and it's very creative and everything else how it is. I don't understand the lore behind it, so I can't really talk too much about that end. But I mean, I think they're interesting sets. One way or the other. Yeah,
and certainly always unique parts and things you can pull out of any set, and the minifigure designs are certainly very unique.
And
and
this set specifically is a very large set, especially for 1,900 pieces. And it's one of those things where it's like you can use any of the waterfall pieces, and that's actually one of the new trends. What's the word for it? Color changing, so you can actually see it at different angles. And they used it for the Tesseract as well for the little minifigs. And I love that color that they're using now. I wish they did it in like different greens and purples and stuff like that too. And it would have been perfect to use on the Elves line if they still had it going. Unfortunately, Elves is gone now. But yeah, we also have some of the Star Wars heads up there as well, which are probably the only Star Wars sets we have in the store right now, except for these 4. Like we said a little bit earlier, Star Wars is one of our big top sellers here, and we can't keep it in the store very fast. So if you do happen to stop by, and you see something Star Wars, buy it, because it will not be here tomorrow. And then of course we do have some, even though they're kind of empty right now, we do have some of our custom minifigs that we imported from our vendor called Minifigs.me over in Europe. So we import those. We have a ton of Stranger Things related figures, some horror movie figs, of course, like RoboCop and everything else too. And our custom porta potties, which everybody laughs at, but we sell like crazy.
Hey, I can imagine.
Well, anybody who's willing to build a set and build a city in their house, everyone's like, oh, I want to build a huge city in my basement. It's like, well, you may not finish those modulars or whatever in time. So what we've seen a lot of people do, especially on Instagram, is to take like little construction builders like Emmett and all, like the sort, and put them on their buildings so it looks like they're building the buildings as they're going up. I was like, yeah, but where do they go to the bathroom? I'm like, I didn't think about that. Yeah, hence the porta potties.
You gotta have the logistics there.
That's right. Yeah, and those porta potties actually all do have custom printed tiles on it. Our company does do custom printing on torsos, legs, hats, and of course tiles as well. We've helped out a few different companies here, and as I said, our company's growing larger and larger. So other stores have actually done a lot of cool mocks and stuff with with people as well. We actually had a few at Brick World that we helped out with some couple hundred pieces that we printed for him. And then as he's moving over, we're getting into our superhero and Harry Potter, Indiana Jones kind of like offshoot licensed figs. So we do have an arrangement of Harry Potter, Indiana Jones, Lord of the Rings, Pirates of the Caribbean figs. Over here we've got our Ninjago figs, some miscellaneous Disney Toy Story figs, and then of course we have our blue Marvel plate there with, of course, our awesome Hulk in the back there from our lovely Thor movie. Yep, he was like, I know him from work. That whole scene, it was pretty funny.
You got some boxes of video over here
Yes.
as well, which is another kind of divisive product line.
So video, unfortunately, I was really hyped up about video because ever since we got the email and the little word that Lego was working with Sony Pictures, I believe it was Sony Music. I'm trying to remember which one it was. I was like, ooh, what are they gonna make? Like, I would love to see even like it was like an MP3 player made out of Lego or something. Like I was thinking of all these different things. And they came out with video and I was like, okay, like.
Not what I had in mind.
This isn't exactly what I was thinking of, but maybe. And I will say, I did fall in love with a lot of the figures.
Yeah.
And they were great. Some of them were a little weird. Some of them a little eclectic. But the biggest thing is I downloaded the app. I tried playing with it and had it here. And of course, we had a few that were open, so we got to add more bandmates to our band. But it was rather short. You could only make like a little 20-second clip out of it. And there were no actual easy instructions on what buttons did what or how long things worked. Some of them were permanent, some of them weren't. And I was like, why is this not easier, especially if this is for younger kids too. And then of course, then we got the announcement that when Video 2 was coming out, then like, yep, video's over. And I was like, what? But Video Series 2 Minifigs had already been released in Europe and elsewhere. But then they ceased the sets. And I was like, oh man, like we can't do any of this. So unfortunately, we still have some Video Series 1 original box sets left. We did sell a lot of the bigger sets a lot better, but then a lot of the parts for these are really good to use in mocks. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times you look around, it's like, where'd you get this awesome like rubber piece from? And everything else is like, that's not Lego. It's like, yes, it is. It's video. And so we actually saw a bit of that at Brick World as well. And some of our friends have made some mocks, even baseball gloves. They've actually made with the video straps.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is really cool. Like, how did you guys do this?
No, those accessories are great, and you see even more of that with a lot of the kind of collectible minifigure pieces that you see on display here.
Yeah, so these are all of our series figs, going all the way back to Series 1. Of course, we don't have as many of the older series as we used to, because they get harder and harder to find, more and more expensive. And then people just want to hold on to them because if they're collecting the entire line, you're not going to want to get rid of those old ones, especially. So we do have them all in order from Series 1 through 22. We also have our Muppets figs, the Disney figs, Super Mario figs, and everything else as we continue on. Muppets, of course, being the newest one, so we do have those both open and new in new in blind bags still. So you can always save a little bit by trying to take your guess on the blind bags. When they first came out, we actually printed up the field guide as well for it. So I was like, hey, you know what? We're going to help you guys out. We printed up the field guide for you. Let them go to town. But then if you don't want to waste so much time trying to feel them out, we have them, of course, open so you can pick out whatever Muppet you want. The Disney figs, of course, are always a fun one to have and mix together and see in different scenes. I wish they make more. I want to see Disney Series 3 come out because I think there's a ton of other characters out there they can make. A lot of people were sad about Looney Tunes with not having certain characters in there, like wasn't Sylvester. Yosemite Sam, and of course, Pepe Le Pew and everything else. Of course, there was a whole thing with Pepe Le Pew before, and I think Yosemite Sam they stayed away from because, of course, he's got 2 6-shooters and stuff with him too. And I was like, yeah, but they've been making 6-shooters for 25 years. I mean, let's be honest. So we're hoping that they do another Looney Tunes series pretty soon. And I believe that the new collectible series was already announced on LegoCon on Saturday, which I still have to watch because, of course, we're at Brick World. So I'm really excited to see the other builds and the castles and stuff that they're bringing out with too. Of course, they'll be here on our new in-box shelf when they come in. And then, yeah, so anything that people are looking for from any of the 64 years of Lego, or if they're looking for custom projects and mocks, if they want to come in and do an event or a party with us, we have all that space available as well.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure then that we showed the party space.
Yeah,
we can go and walk over there. So we've seen all the great stuff you have for sale. Like you said, you'll have even more coming soon. But of course, you've got this fantastic room that you can hold events in. So tell us about kind of what you do here.
Yeah, so we have a roughly 700 square foot event space in here. It's about a 20 by 30, 20 by 35, if I remember right. So we have a 4-lane racetrack in here that we usually use for our race cars and birthday parties. We have a ton of pre-made car bodies over here. We always keep an extra tub of bulk in here for anybody who wants to build the cars in here so they don't have to interrupt all the normal clients and the normal customers that are coming in. But then we have enough space and seating in here for 55.
Wow.
So if people have called us to do little meetings, we've actually had multiple Cub Scouts come in here to do championship races with Pinewood Derby, because it is still a Pinewood Derby track. We just happen to use Lego with it. So we've let them use the space. We've had baby showers here. We've had Thanksgiving dinners here. I was like, if you want to rent the space, I'll rent the space. But typically, it's mostly reserved for birthday parties. We have a lot of fun here with the kids and the adults. A lot of people are like, oh, you don't happen to do adult parties, do you? And I was like, well, depending on what you mean by adult, like, let's stop you there.
There's a spectrum.
There's a very spectrum right there, yes. But we did have a surprise 40th birthday party here. We had a gentleman celebrate his 65th birthday party here. And with that one, we actually went in and did a full, like, actual racing bracket for that they may or may not have made bets or side things on. Let's just leave it at that. But funny enough, the birthday boy won all 4 tournaments.
Whoa.
So by the time I was done, I was like, I hear you did pretty well. And he's like, yes, I did. So there is no, I mean, Lego is for everybody, 1 to 100 or more. If you're not excluded if you're 104, like let's say, we'll still take you. So we always have a lot of fun during the birthday parties and events in here. We also do classes. We teach digital design using Bricklink Studio.
Okay.
We do stop motion animation, which is actually done by a professional company that did the class for us. We just help facilitate it here. We also do tons of different live streams and giveaways, especially for our YouTube channel, because we actually have a YouTube channel. We're the only Bricks and Minifigs that does currently. So you guys can check us out at BAM Crest Hill on YouTube as well. You can subscribe to us. We do a lot of live streams with Lego Masters and stuff through there too. We actually did a Daily Bugle live build with Corey from Lego Masters and our buddy Lou, who was part of our improv show at Brick World. And we did a lot of giveaways throughout the event too. So you have no idea what's going to happen.
There we go.
I mean, you guys can even you can spot up sometimes like, hey, by the way, here's Josh and John from Beyond the Brick. And people would go insane. So we do those store tours and events, the tons of different classes that we do here. And of course, we actually have daycare events that come through here, and daycares, homeschoolers, whatever else. Like we will help everybody find anything. We actually do offsite events too and field trips.
Okay.
So we've helped out a lot of schools. We brought the track and stuff to some of the other schools as well, and had just a blast with like the entire like 3rd grade class. So it gets really fun.
Yeah,
They're really loud, but really fun.
That all sounds amazing. So it's great. We've seen everything you have for sale. We've seen this room, but for people who maybe can't make it here in person, do you sell products online, or how does that work?
We do hold an event called Cyber Fun Day every Friday night at 7:30 on our Facebook, YouTube channel, and Twitch, because we're on Twitch as well. We simulcast that to all 3 using StreamYard. We actually might be working with Whatnot soon after our talks over at Brick World. We've had some fun with them. And so we might be changing some things, or maybe adding an actual auction event as well for certain items. But we do that live stream every Friday night at 7:30 Central Time. But then because of the rising gas prices, we are going to be reopening our online store. So we did have it for COVID. We kind of shut it down because everybody was coming back to the store and always loved coming into the store. But even for some of our smaller events, we've had it happen where it's like, well, it's going to cost me $45 to $60 to get there now. I'd rather you just ship it for $12. And it's like, we can do that. So we're starting to move more into the online platform again. And actually, we might be bringing on another staff member that used to work here, and she might come back to help us out with that. So online sales, not currently, but we will do it. But you can always call us at any time to get that set up, and we'll always ship it pretty much anywhere in the country.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure to put links in the description to the social media sites like YouTube and everything you mentioned.
Yeah, like I said, we're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, and then possibly soon Whatnot. So you never know where you're going to find us.
You also mentioned earlier in the video about how Bricks and Minifigs is a franchise. So if people have like looked at this store and they're like, this seems really cool, maybe I could do this myself or get it more involved. What can you tell people about that and kind of how?
So public information that I can tell you. So Bricks and Minifigs is actually one of the cheapest franchises to get into. It's actually only $25,000 to get a franchise. which gives you all the branding, the buying power, and everything else of the company, as well as your own protected territory. After that, all the costs just depend on whatever kind of fixtures and product you want to get into in your inventory. So on average, I'd say it's probably about $150,000 to start a store. Ours is a bit bigger than most, so we did go a little bit over that. But if you want to do that, you can get a hold of Bricks Minifigs Franchising from bricksminifigs.com as well, and get a hold of David Ortiz or any of the team that's there. He actually helped found our company as well, so he's in charge of franchising now, so it's kind of cool. And they can get you started. We actually have about 24 more stores that are supposed to be opening up in the next year. So
very cool.
You can be one of them, and there's definitely not. There can never be too many of us because with Lego having roughly about 100 stores in the country, they're always focused on the now and like the coming up in the next 6 months or so. When you're dealing with us and you have all 64 years to deal with, you have to have that amount of volume to control that as well. So I would not put it past the company to have over 300 stores in the next decade. Yeah. Just because there's all of that product that has to be found. And of course, the big thing with the company is the whole rebuild, reuse, recycle aspect of it all. Because we don't want to see any of this lovely brick end up in trash cans or landfills. We want to see it in people's hands making creative constructions out of it, and just having it fun. Because Lego has a tendency to make anybody of any age just turn into an 8-year-old again.
Exactly.
You just get in and it's like, ooh, I want to build this. And we even did that with our staff member here when we opened up. We gave all of our city council members a minifig. And afterwards, as soon as the cameras were off for the meeting, they're like, oh, let me trade you this hair, let me trade you this, let me trade you this. Can you have that torso, let me do this. And it was just so funny because they were all completely giddy and they were actually doing that whole little giggle laugh, like the like, I was like, these people are 55 to 70 years old and they're acting like 10-year-olds. I've done my job.
That's what makes it so fun here. That's why everyone watching this, make sure if you're in the area, you stop by the Bricks and Minifigs store here. It's a fantastic place. There's so much to check out. There's always new stuff coming in, so
all
who
the
knows
time.
what you might see.
Actually, we had posted it up on our social media that we were trying not to do too many trades and buys while we were at Brick World. And then all of a sudden, like Wednesday or Thursday came around, and I was like, oh yeah, by the way, we had 12 more trades come in. I was like, are you kidding me? So of course, now we have more product that we have to go through in our project area in the back. But you really don't know what's going to come in. We've had the huge Eiffel Tower set come in. We've had many like UCS Superstar Destroyers. We've had old sets. We actually just traded out our 1981 original castle, the yellow castle. Oh. We actually traded that off with Zach from Lego Masters because he's been looking for it for 6 years. And I was like, I happen to have one of those. So I went ahead and traded it for him, and then of course he walks in and goes over to the Lego Masters area that was at Brick World, and he just shows all of them. He's like, look what I've got. And everybody was like, oh! And I was like, yeah, that's mine. So you really have no idea what could be in here from anywhere from the last 64 years, or even the wood stuff. Like it's great. We've had random GWPs, we've had employee gifts sometimes come through here. We've had very unique, really hard to find sets. We've actually just had the black-haired Kanan Jarrus in not too long ago. Of course, if you're a Star Wars fan, you know the black-haired Kanan was like the first kind of mistake one. So we've had him before. We just had probably 3 or 4 Captain Rexes through here. We had 5 UCS Boba Fett's. So you really just don't know. And that's one of the best things about working here and being the owner of such a great location, such awesome customers and stuff too, is when that stuff comes in, even though we've been open for 5 years, it's like opening a Christmas present like every other day. Mm-hmm. It's just like, oh yes, well, dude, did you see this? Like, it's just one of those great things we love telling people and showing off. So
for sure. Yep. Well, thank you so much for the
Absolutely,
tour here.
John.
Thanks for showing us all around. And like I said, thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure you stop in the store if you're ever in the area.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.